Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics. How you doing? Welcome to the Fantasy MDs Baseball Podcast. Wishing everybody a happy new year out there. Today is Wednesday, January 5th, 2023. This is our 57th episode. If you guys been enjoying the podcast, all we ask from you is you give us a little 5-star rating if that's possible on the platform that you listen, Apple and Spotify. Anywhere else you might listen, if they also, do that, please go ahead. We appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below and you throw a little comment and a like. We always were responding to those comments. We love going back and forth with our fans. And also, guys, check out our brand new website. It's the Fantasy Baseball MDs. The link for it is in our link tree. That's on all of our social media platforms. It says Fantasy MD's website. Just tap that. It will bring you to our website. Our website has rankings, a lot of information about us personally, and we're also going to be posting articles on there sooner than later. Also, real quick, just wanted to give a shout out. I know we're a baseball podcast, but Matt and I are from New York, and we're both big football fans. Shout out to Damar Hamlin, the Buffalo Bills, the NFL, Damar Hamlin's family, friends, all of them. We wish him the best. He's still in the hospital in critical condition. We're hoping for a speedy and quick recovery. You never like to see anything like that happen in sports, so we wish him the best. But I am your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my brother, partner in crime, better half, Matthew Arnay. Matt, how we feeling today, brother?
Doing great, man. Shout out to Hamlin, thank God he woke up today.
Yeah.
Also, I want to let everybody know that our updated rankings will be updated on the website, probably over the next couple of days. So if everybody can just, be patient. It's was done like a month ago. I posted those. So
yeah, we're going to be updating them soon. As soon as we get closer to the season, we'll be updating them pretty much weekly, if not bi-weekly, which means once every other week, not twice a week.
Right. So without further ado, man, you want to take it off?
Yes, sir. We're going to head into the news first. Just want to let you guys know our big topic of the day is going to be pitchers you should target for the 2023 baseball season. We will hit that after the news, so please stay tuned for that. It's going to be a very informative, fun segment for all of you to listen to. With that being said, starting off with the news, Trevor Bauer, once again, a little bit of news on him. The official decision will be made tomorrow by the Dodgers, but what I'm hearing, he's most likely going to be released if the Dodgers cannot find a trade partner for them. I heard they're talking to a few different teams trying to see if anybody will take him off their hands, but not 100% sure how that's going to go. So once again, stay tuned and we will keep you posted on that. The Carlos Correa saga once again continues. I literally got news on this a couple of minutes before we started recording this. So here's the thing. Carlos Correa and his agent Scott Boras have been in contact with another team. As for what team that is, we don't know yet. But the saga continues here. I think them and the Mets are still negotiating. I heard that if Carlos Correa does sign with the Mets, that the contract is going to look very different than the original one that we saw. So with that being said, just once again, Carlos Correa saga continues. Once more useful information breaks, Matt and I will cover that and give you an in-depth breakdown. So for the big news here, something that we can actually talk about and get a deep dive into a little bit here, Rafael Devers, signing an 11-year deal, $331 million to stay with the Boston Red Sox. Very, very interesting because I know Red Sox Nation has been upset with the way that their team has been handled. The team just doesn't look good heading into the 2023 season, but they keep arguably their best young player on the team for, signing for 11 years. And let's just go over, Matt, let's talk about Rafael Devers for a little bit, and we'll talk about where we have him ranked and how he did last year, right? So last year, Rafael Devers, 25 years old, played 141 games, had 84 runs, 27 bombs, 88 RBIs, 3 steals, and he hit 295. It's arguably a down year for Mr. Devers, where he hit 38 home runs in 2021, and then he hit 32 home runs in 2019. So I think maybe the batting average comes down a tiny bit. He's a career 283 hitter. Once again, Rafael Devers here. So I think the bombs maybe go up to about 35. Maybe the batting average drops 10 points to about 285. But Rafael Devers, still one of the most talented young players, not only in baseball, but the game that we play as well as fantasy baseball. Just going to throw out where I have him ranked and then pass it off to my brother Matt here. Matt, actually, you could pick up on it because my rankings are taking a second here to load. So if you want to go ahead and give a little rant. Actually, I got him third at third base. So that's I'm pretty high on Rafael Devers heading into this year, even though the Red Sox are not going to be a good team.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I mean, Boston hasn't been handled very well at all. It's actually really frustrating. I mean, good for Yankee fans. We don't want them good at all. But I have Devers ranked 6.
Oh,
I can't do him over like,
that's fair.
guys like Austin Riley, Arenado, Bobby Witt. Those are the guys I have directly in front of him. So that's where I'm at, but he's definitely worth the money. He's definitely why they probably didn't get some free agent stat in the offseason, essentially because they didn't have him locked down, so that they're not going to sign with a team that doesn't have their star locked down. This could bring in some new trade bait, not trade bait, but like new free agent draw for the coming season, unfortunately, as Yankee fans in the AL rivalry right there. But ultimately, I think Devers is going to have a good season. He's always going to put up his counting stats, but the only thing that probably will be down this year is runs. So other than that, you're going to see his really nice batting average, really nice RBIs and such, and home runs, of course, because the guy's got power out to wazoo.
Yeah, yes, sir. I agree with everything that you said there. He's actually coming off the board fourth right now in NFBC ADP over the last month. When I'm referring to NFBC ADP today, it's going to be over the last month because I want to try and keep it updated. NFBC's for guys that really love fantasy baseball, they've been drafting since October 1st, which is absolutely crazy. So when I'm referring to NFBC ADP throughout this episode, it's going to be from December 5th to today, which is January 5th. It's 97 drafts worth of information, which is still very useful, amount of drafts to go by this data here. So with that being said, guys, let's just move right into our main segment, which I said is going to be pitchers you should target for the 2023 fantasy baseball season. I have 4, Matt has 4, and in honor of the pitchers, I wore my Brewers Corbin Burns jersey. We're going with some more low key names, but I had my boy Corbin Burns. Absolute shout out to him. He's been phenomenal over the last few years as far as starting pitcher goes. But Matt, you want to take the lead? Should I take the lead? How do you want to chop it up today?
You know what? Let me take the lead because it's somebody
Yeah,
I'm
go
pretty
for it,
excited
brother.
about.
Oh,
So,
yeah, let's go. Let's go.
so
Yeah, buddy.
let's start with a little history, right? We're gonna be talking about Tristan McKenzie here, and
Love him.
going into last season, Dom was like, "Bro, you're pretty high on him." And I'm like, "Well, you know what? The guy showed a lot of stuff last year, especially the end of the 2021 season." So I'm like, you know what? Let's give him a shot. Let's put him in the 50 range. And God, he paid off last year. He finished as the 49th fantasy baseball player overall. And he finished with a sub 3 ERA. Not much sub, but something of the sort, because he finished with a 2.96 ERA, which was really nice, and under a 1 whip, which is really phenomenal. He had 11 wins and 190 Ks and 191 innings. So you can't really beat that. And the Indians are only going to get better this year. I mean, Guardians, I apologize. Old habits die hard. But but one of the things I got to say is that, they have a lot of young talent. Wins are going to be more of a feasible option for them. And to be honest, the kid's only going to get better. I really did say he was going to be a Shane Bieber light, and I think he's going to make that third-year stride and be phenomenal, bearing a healthy season, which last year he really didn't have those problems. So I really do see him skyrocketing. I actually have Tristan ranked pretty high this year and pretty boldly at 24 overall for pitching. So I think he's going to be incredible. I have him over guys like Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, Framber Valdez, Luis Castillo, Severino, and Freddie Peralta. These are guys that are, names that have been around for a while. And Tristan is new to the game. But I mean, honestly, the kid has upside to finish in the top 15 pitchers overall. So, I'm a really big fan. Maybe I'm a little bullish on him, but I'm going to have him on every team this year.
Yeah, Matt, I'm gonna agree with everything you said there, except one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love Tristan McKenzie as well. Let's not get that twisted. The only thing that I had him everywhere in 2020. I picked him up in every league I was in 2020, and he was a league winner in 2020 as a rookie when he came up. In 2020, Tristan McKenzie came up. He 2 wins, 1 losses in the short season, 3.24 ERA. It was 8 starts, 33 innings, 42 strikeouts, and an 0.9 WHIP. What kind of threw me off was the 2021. So Matt is right. I was a little bit down on him coming into last year. Still loved him, but Matt was higher than him on me coming into last year. So last year the thing was, not last year. I'm sorry, 2 years ago, 2021. Let me correct myself. 2 years ago, 2021. So in 2021 he had a 4.95 ERA. 120 innings pitched, 136 strikeouts, and a 118 whip. So that kind of threw me off. I was like, okay, now he has great stuff, has a very solid fastball, doesn't throw it hard, but it has a lot of movement. And he throws a slide, good slider, good curveball, not great, but both very, very good. I think the slider's a little better than the curve, if I remember correctly. So I wasn't sure about how I felt about him coming into last year. So I did rank him a little bit lower. Now the kid came out and absolutely dominated. Matt, did you read off his stats from last year?
Yes, I did.
Okay, yeah. So he already dominated with that sub 3 ERA, like Matt already mentioned. Sub 1 whip, strikeout, almost strikeout per inning. Now I have him ranked 26, so Matt and I are pretty much in step with that one. And guys, Tristan McKenzie is, I can't really add too much to what Matt already said, so I'm gonna, cut myself short here before I just repeat everything that my brother said. He's just a dominant young pitcher. He's going to be 25 years old next year. Definitely agree with Matt. He's a must-have in every single draft, right? So let's move on. One of the guys that I'm targeting in all of my drafts last year, somebody that might be getting a little slept on with so many good starting pitchers for this year is Joe Ryan of the Minnesota Twins. Another guy that has very, very good stuff. Not great stuff, but the breaking stuff is a little better than the fastball with Joe Ryan. And he just, he's been solid. Came up in 2021, very short sample size. ERA was a little high at 4.05, but I don't think that really shows the kind of guy he was because his FIP was a 3.43. Once again, I always like to point this out. We're not huge on all the peripheral stats. There's other podcasts that do that, but FIP is a very good ERA indicator. Kind of shows you where the ERA should be if the defense lines up properly, right? And makes the plays that they're supposed to. So it was a 3.43 FIP. So that says, hey, that ERA of a 4.05 isn't really indicative of the type of pitcher Joe Ryan is. The whip was a 0.78, which is absolutely phenomenal. Once again, 26 innings, 30 strikeouts with Joe Ryan in 2021. And then he comes out in 2022 as a 26-year-old, first full year in the big leagues. He got 13 wins, 8 losses, 3.55 ERA, made 27 starts, 147 innings, 151 Ks, and a 1.10 whip. Now that's great for Joe Ryan in his first full year in the bigs. I absolutely love him. I'm kind of targeting him in every draft I can get him in. I currently have him ranked at 48, but I could see myself moving him up. But I got Kopech one spot ahead of him. Probably will wind up changing that. And then I got somebody we're going to talk about a little bit later. I think he might go hand in hand with that guy. I got him under Chris Bassett. I think that's a great debate. I might throw Joe Ryan over Chris Bassett. And I just want to check where he's going in NFBC ADP right now. So if you want to chime in with your thoughts on Joe Ryan as I'm looking this up, be my guest, brother.
Sure, no problem. First off, I have him like 10 spots higher than Bassett.
Okay, there you go. See, that's fair. I might have to change that. I think I'm going to. And real quick, Joe Ryan is coming off the board as the 60th pitcher that's not just starting pitchers because unfortunately NFBC doesn't show us the difference between starting pitchers and relief pitchers when it comes to ADP right now. So 60th pitcher off the board, 148. So you can get him right now as your SP4, maybe 5, in a 12-man league, and I think that's going to be an absolute steal.
Yeah, no, I have Joe Ryan at 47 for starters. So I'm right above
so right in the same spot as always, brother.
Great,
we're two in sync.
Yeah, great minds always think alike. This is what happens when you're friends for over 20 years.
But
Facts. One of the things I love about Joe Ryan is he's taking the right steps as a rookie pitcher. So, he had a his first appearance in the, I don't know, I'm going to say NFL, MLB. MLB, he had a nice appearance. He had showed a couple of good shining starts and things like that. And he comes into the next season and he's like, wow, look at this kid. He's really, really throwing it hard. He's got a sub-4 ERA, which actually it's 3.55, which is significantly lower than the year before, which now you're showing improvement, especially with more innings. They also trust him to go 147 deep. So that's a nice show. So I think that next year he's going to get, third year in the bigs, a lot of exposure, kind of knows how to feel it. And they're probably going to let him hit like 160, 170 innings this year, which could mean more strikeouts, can help him get loose. Hopefully it comes in with a new pitch this year and, he can deal with the league adjusting to him now. And I think he will. because usually pitchers that make this kind of progress over their first 2 seasons in the MLB, their third season is usually pretty nice. You know, they pretty much explode and have a really nice season. I'm not going to say this kid's going to have like a sub 3 ERA, but he's going to have a low 3 ERA, or just repeat this with more Ks and, you know, get the job done and possibly lower this whip. I think Joe Ryan is an excellent draft pick this year, and he's going to be on all my teams. Well, me and Dom are going to be fighting over in the leagues we're in together, but that's one of those things. But yeah, so we'll move on.
Can I chime in on one more thing if you'll let me, brother? If you'll let me.
No, you're not allowed. Yeah, go for it.
Fair enough. I know I talk too much sometimes, but there is one thing I just wanted to mention about Joe Ryan. It'll take me a second.
Sure.
Joe Ryan was always a great pitcher in the minor leagues. In 2019, he pitched 123 innings, had a 1.96 ERA and a 0.84 WHIP. And then in 2021 in the minors, a 3.41 ERA with a 0.78 WHIP. So he's always been a stellar whip guy. So I think that 110 whip we saw last year might even come down a little bit. So once again, go get Joe Ryan.
Amen to that, bro. That's going to be phenomenal if he does that. That would be a really nice step forward.
I think so. I think there's a chance because if I always say if a guy shows a skill over a long period of time, that it will most likely come back when they get to the bigs. Like if they show it in the minors, there's always a good chance that it will come back once they get to the bigs.
Yeah, buddy. All right, let's move on to one of my favorite pitchers. This guy I've been on for years. This is Mr. Gilly, Logan Gilbert.
Yes. Sir.
You know, we just start screaming Dilly, but we're going to go Gilly for him. So what I love about Gilly is he took some major strides. You know, this is his third season in the MLB. You know, his first season wasn't as impressive as our guy Joe Ryan. He had a higher ERA. He finished with a 4.68 ERA, but he showed so much potential. And you know what, especially towards the end of his stint in his first year of the bigs. So when I was calling this last year, I was calling my shot and I'm like, yo, this kid's going to blow up this year. He's incredible. He was the #1 pitching prospect the year he got called up, and I called it. I hit it right on the head. He had 185 innings, which is phenomenal, from going from 119 to 185, and handled it like a pro. He had 13 wins. He had 174 Ks, a 3.20 ERA, and a 118 whip. Now, if that's not an impressive showing on the second year in the full season in the bigs, I don't know what is. And I think this year it's only going to get better. Seattle is also a better team this year. I think that they're now, with their young squad, especially with Mr. Julio, I think that they're going to want to take it to the next level and really step it up and put the team behind him. And he's going to be one of their aces for a long time coming. I think this season's going to be that stepping stone where he solidifies himself. And I'm bullish. I really am. A top 25 arm. I think this kid is going to be incredible. But I don't think I have him ranked that way. Let me look real quick. I have him as number 32 overall. I mean, I'm bullish on the guy of what his upside is, but I'm also realistic. So, you know, I'm not drafting this guy as a 25. I'm not going to draft him up at his upside, but I am going to try and snag him as my number 3 pitcher. You know, I think he's definitely worth a number 3 pitcher. Actually, in some cases, he might be your number 2. So you'll see how it depends on the draft falls, but I'd be very comfortable with him as my number 3. A little hesitant as my number 2, but you know what? If I have to, I'll take it. And I won't even bat an eye. This kid is a great talent, and you're going to thank me at the end of the year.
Yeah, man, we love us a little Gilly over here at the Fantasy Baseball MDs, right?
Yeah,
so, Matt, to your point here, Logan Gilbert, NFC ADP, once again over the last month, 97 drafts, coming off the board as the 45th pitcher. Once again, that includes relief pitchers. So let's say maybe like 38, right? So you could get him as your number 3. It's a pick 112 for Logan Gilbert right now. So I think that's absolutely a steal to get Logan Gilbert outside the top 100. And I have him ranked once again right in step with you. I got him at 36, but I could see him moving up by the time I do a real deep dive on all of my pitchers. And there's a couple of guys that I got above him that I already could see, like I got Kevin Gausman above him, and I don't like Kevin Gausman. He's okay, good strikeouts, gets you a lot of innings, but the whip was super high with Gausman last year, and I think Logan Gilbert's upside is absolutely phenomenal, right? Now, last year, the thing with Logan Gilbert is he didn't have that K per 9 that you're looking for, right? He was under the K per 9, 185 innings, 174 Ks. Here's the thing, though. In the minors, was always well over a K per 9. In his rookie season, well over a K per 9. I think this year, the sneaky thing is that he can get back up to that K per nine, right? So if Logan Gilbert comes out as a 26-year-old this year, throws around 200 innings, I think it could sneak up and you could see him get to at least, if he pitches 200 innings, you could see 210, 220, 225 with the Ks. And the thing is, Logan Gilbert's fastball is he throws gas. I think he averaged around 96 miles an hour last year on that fastball. I think as he matures as a young man and a pitcher, the sky is the limit. Once again, starting pitching is so deep this year that you can get a guy like this as your number three, and he has ace upside potential, like Matt said. Matt's at top 25. I'll even go above that. He could be a top 15 pitcher by the time that the year's done. He's so young, a lot of upside. I believe he's a big fella. Yeah, 6'6", 215 pounds.
Bro, we're just waiting for that man body, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I hope your boy Tristan McKenzie could do that too. He looks like, a little frail out there sometimes, which scares me. Reminds me of a young Chris Sale, sometimes what Tristan McKenzie, but Logan Gilbert, I think if he fills out that frame, puts a little bit more muscle on, gets himself up to about 6'6", 230. Sky is the limit, man. Sky is the limit. So I think you covered him good enough, and I think I threw in my 2 cents. So let's move on. Who do I want to go with next? Matt, let's do another one of our boys, and then I'll separate to some guys that I know you're high on this guy too, so might as well we'll both rant about him real quick. It's Blake Snell, and if you guys listened to us at all last year, the thing with Blake Snell is that his changeup is absolute garbage. He needs to take that changeup, shoot it, and bury it behind the barn, and never throw it again.
Bro, straight Lassie, bro.
Oh yeah. That's what I was trying to get at here because yeah, man, when he stopped throwing it last year, let me see if I could pull up those stats because there was a certain point, and Matt and I covered it when Blake Snell turned that corner. We were like, oh, let's go. We went on, I believe it was I want to give the proper shout out. I think it was Baseball Savant, which actually breaks down each start, all of the pitches that the pitchers throw, and we looked. And I think in that start, he threw like 100 pitches and it was like one changeup. So it's like, yo, if Blake Snell could just do that all the time, he'll be one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball, right? Man, excuse me a second. I got to take a sip of this water. I'm like dying over here.
Bro, I told you, stop hitting the corners before you start the podcast. But,
maybe back in the day, but I'm not so much anymore. I'm trying to live that, that good lifestyle, right? So let's I found it here. I believe the start that we're referring to was July 23rd against the Mets, right? Blake Snell, it was a mini breakout. It wasn't the huge breakout, but he went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks, right? And at that point in time, his ERA was a 4.75, right? So peep this. From July 23rd through October 2nd, which Blake Snell, I believe, ended the year, if I'm looking at this correctly, let me see. Hold on. I don't want to get this wrong, guys. I don't want to get dirty here. Actually, okay. So he finished the year with a 3.38 ERA, right? So from that time was 4.75, chopped it down in 14 starts to a 3.38. And over that time, once again, it was 14 starts for Blake Snell, 78 innings, 105 strikeouts, 2.19 ERA. And let's check out that whip was actually a little bit over 1. It was like a 101 whip. So if Blake Snell can, keep that form over a full year, we've seen what he could do when he won the Cy Young a few years back, I think Blake Snell just has all the upside in the world. He just really needs to get his head in the game. I think that's his problem. He reminds me of like Zach Greinke, somebody that is great at baseball, but the mental is just like, a little all over the place at times. I just wish he would really focus on baseball and just stay locked in, man. Ditch that changeup and be one of the best pitchers in baseball, hands down. Just gonna check where I got him ranked because I know it's kind of high. I actually got Blake Snell at 31, which I think is reasonable. It kind of weighs in that risk that maybe he has those blow up starts where he wants to throw the changeup too much. But I think at 31, if you can get Blake Snell as, once again, your number 3, maybe I'd have to move him down a little bit for him to be your number 3 in a 12-man league. But I think that's where I'd be targeting him right now. And he's going off the board, 53rd pitcher on NFB ADP over the last month. Pick 123. So I think that's a good spot for him.
That's fair. I have him 5 spots higher of a 26.
Ooh, okay. So yeah, man, let's hear the Blake Snell rant.
I mean, what Blake did at the end of that season was just
Yeah,
incredible. You know, we don't even need to talk about that changeup, but he's one of those
bury it,
pitch.
bury
He
it.
like even with knowing what he does with that changeup, I still drafted him pretty high last year, and I'm still willing to do it this year. The upside's there. I maybe shoot myself in the foot. It is a risky pick. Don't get me wrong.
It
Now,
is.
I just hopefully somebody in his camp kind of sits him down and says, "Yo, this is what spring training's for. If it's not working in spring training, it ain't gonna work in the season. Let's try it again next year." But let's just shoot that one buried out in the back and call it a day. But at the end, long story short, the reason why I have him so high is that upside is going to be incredible, and you can't really pass on it. You may call me crazy, but I mean, hey, if you want to draft him where Dom is, we're not in the same draft, you'll probably get him. But if we are, it's gonna be hard for you to get it from me. But that's enough on Blake Snell. We kind of beat that one to the death. Now let's talk about my other favorite pitcher, a young guy, somebody that just like absolutely blew up last year, and I'm very happy about it. And that's Mr. Nick Lodolo from the Cincinnati
I knew
Reds.
you were going there.
Yeah,
I
it's
knew
my
you were going
boy.
there.
I was so
No,
on
I
him.
love him. I love him too.
I was so on him going into last year, and when he finally got the call and was like, "Yo, I'm here, boys," I was like, "Oh my god, this kid's about to do," it. And he did it. He started off a little rough, but man, in 103 innings, he had 4 wins, 131 Ks. So that K per nine is spectacular.
Yeah.
They had a 3.66 ERA and a 1.25 which is a little high, but you know what? We could deal with it with a young pitcher. He never had those problems in the minors. He also adjusted to the bigs. So he's going to be stellar and bring that on down and probably get you more Ks and definitely get you a little bit more deeper into the season this year. It's going to be an incredible season for Nick Lodolo. I think that the only thing that's stopping him is, he does pitch in the Reds ballpark, which is terrible. So that's why his ERA is never going to be that low 3, but sub 3 ERA. But he's still going to be a great start for you every week on, week in and out. He best case scenario, he's like Lucas Giolito in his prime. A 3.4, 3.5 ERA with a low whip and a bunch of Ks and a ton of wins. Well, maybe not a ton of wins. It's the Reds, but one of those things. So where I have him right now is actually pretty nice. Right where I think he should be for the season right now. Not a lot of risk, but a lot of reward. But not completely burying him where other people are probably going to draft him. Much lower than me. And I have him at number 50 overall for pitcher. I think that's a fair spot. I have him right in front of Lucas Giolito, Drew Rossison, Eric Lauer, Chris Sale, and Sanga. Sanga. Had to get that in there.
I like that. I like that for Kodai. That's a good one.
Yeah, might have to get a drop for that. But anyway,
Definitely.
I just think he's going to be incredible this year. And to be honest, he's going to be definitely worth the pick. That's your pitcher 4, almost 5, honestly. So, you'll be happy with that pick. And he's going to end up being one of your best pitchers in your lineup, and you're going to get him nice and cheap. Definitely look out for Nick Lodolo.
Yeah, Matt. See, I agree with everything. There is one thing that I do have to say. I listen to a lot of fantasy baseball stuff, a lot of podcasts, a lot of news and everything. And it just seems among experts, he's like the darling. Like everyone's talking about him. Right now in NFBC ADP, right? Nick Lodolo's coming off the board, 56 pitcher, pick 135. And I love that. That's great. That's great value for Nick Lodolo. But I just feel like by the time we get to draft season,
He might shoot up.
if everybody's listening to all the experts, including us, they're gonna see that we all love Nick Lodolo, and Nick Lodolo is gonna go from I have him ranked right where you do. I have him 53rd. I can see by drafting if he's moving above guys like Gilbert, like Joe Ryan, who we spoke about, like I'm just even Blake Snell, like the 3 guys we just spoke about. I wouldn't take Lodolo over any of them. The thing is with Lodolo is that he does pitch in Cincinnati. The whip little bit questionable. I know Matt's right. He was always a good whip guy in the minors, but let's see. Did he in the minors? He's thrown less than 100 innings, right? So you don't really know if that's going to come back and the good whip is going to stick. So I'm not over the top with Nick Lodolo like everyone else in the industry is, but I love him. I think he's a great pitcher. I think the value's good on Lodolo right now. But if draft season comes around and he's pushed up to pitcher, let's say 30, 35, I can't justify taking him there. Now, I did the kind of negative. Let me switch back to the positive because I do love Nick Lodolo. As Matt said, when he was getting called up last year, Matt and I were fighting for him in every league. And he had his ups and downs, but he does remind me of the stats remind me of Shane McClanahan in his rookie year, right? Because Shane McClanahan came up and he had that middling, he had that middling ERA. The whip was over 1.2 for McClanahan in his rookie year. And then he came out last year and he was absolutely lights out. And Nick Lodolo has that kind of upside. He's going to be 25 this year. He's young. The only thing is the wins are not going to be there on that Reds team. That's not going to be good. And the whip scares me. He's going to have a good ERA. He's going to have a lot of strikeouts. So he's going to help you in those categories. But once again, when you're looking for 4 categories from your starting pitcher and you're most likely only going to get 2 from Lodolo, it scares me a little bit. So that's my thoughts there on Nick Lodolo, guys. If you can get him as your SP4, I probably like him better as a 5. Great. But if he's pushing up to your SP3, I'm taking Gilbert. I'm taking Joe Ryan. I'm taking Blake Snell over him. So, all right, guys, I think we're going to do one more here, and then we might wrap things up. Let's see. I got to go with my boy. I got to go with Drew Rasmussen, guys. Drew Rasmussen last year was absolutely, I think, a league winner in most leagues. I watched his whole start where he almost threw a no-hitter. Forget who it was against, even though I did watch the whole game. But he almost came 1 out away. He pitched like 8.2 innings of no hit ball. And I forget who it was, got that hit off of him. And it was just tough to see. So Drew Rasmussen last year, only once again, young guy, only 26 years old, had 11 wins, 7 losses, 2.84 ERA, 28 starts, 146 innings, 125 Ks, and a 104 whip. May not be a huge K guy, but I just love what Drew Rasmussen has to offer. He has great control, great stuff. He's on Tampa Bay, which is notoriously known to have good starting pitching. And I think he's just a part of that good core as far as young starting pitching goes, for Tampa Bay. I have him ranked at 45. I think that's fair. If you can get him as your SP4, I think that's absolutely great. Once again, probably would like him more as my SP5, but you may have to sneak up to get him, especially with these great numbers he had last year. But guys, Drew Rasmussen, I think definitely a safe pick coming into this year. I don't think he's ever really going to be a K per 9 guy, so don't draft him with thinking that the Ks are going to go up this year. But he has great control. Tampa Bay should be a little bit better this year than they were last year, so the wins are probably going to be there. And good ERA, good whip for the kid.
Yeah, I mean, Rasmussen didn't have a terrible K per 9. He was only like 2 off from his total innings in the season before. He had 76 innings and 73 Ks. Yeah. So I would hope at least he gets to a K per 9. I don't foresee it happening, but I mean, if he does, if he shows that kind of potential, he's gonna be ranked much higher next year.
Yeah.
Because I mean, his control and command is just absolutely ridiculous. This kid is definitely could be a fantasy darling if he can get that to par with everything else. That's why I have Nick Lodolo 1 spot higher than him. But the kid has gas, and that Tampa Bay park is just outrageous. But I mean, at the end of the day, there's really not much left to say about him. I think we covered it all.
Matt, chime in with your last one. Brother. Let's get him in there because I know it's one of your boys, and I actually like him too.
All right, fine. We'll give away one of my trade secrets here. So this is Miami Marlins pitcher Braxton Garrett. Braxton Garrett was somebody that I found mid-year, and I'm like, yo, if this kid gets called up, man, oh man, we're gonna have a lot of fun. And when he did, and it was wonderful. So he's a strikeout machine if anybody hasn't caught on to that. So in 88 innings, he had 3 wins, 90 Ks, a 3.58 ERA, and a 1.25 whip. He throws gas, and the kid has some nice pitches. I'm really hype on him, especially that he's on the Marlins. I mean, that's the one, that ballpark is wonderful for him. So his ERA is not going to be inflated. But the only problem with being on the Marlins too is they're just not going to win games. Like if Jazz Chisholms can get off the flanges list, then maybe they might get a few for him, but that's really just about it. But I mean, you could see what Sandy Alcantara is. He's pretty limited in the wins category, but he's absolutely phenomenal in everything else, across the board. So it's one of those things where I'm pretty much like, hey, if he's sitting there learning from Alcantara and going to take his craft to the next level, well, let's go. Tom.
Yeah, bro. Matt, I just want to point out right now, NFBC ADP, Braxton Garrett is the 151st pitcher off the board. pick 576.
Bro, give me that. That's my last pick of
Guys,
the
I
draft.
mean, yeah, guys, if you go out there and you take Braxton Garrett as your last pick, maybe he moves up a little bit as draft season comes along. People start finding out and talking about him. That's the best last pitcher you can possibly get right now. I love Braxton Garrett as well. He was somebody Matt and I talked about a lot last year. You know, when he was had first come up, was coming up, and towards the end of the year, guy was lighting it up. I know he was playing like Pittsburgh and some bad teams, but there was 10 strikeout, 11 strikeout, a lot of big strikeout games for the kid. It's only going to be 25 this year. I think he is legitimately the perfect last pitcher, you could take off the board.
Yep.
And with that being said, don't think we're gonna have time for too much else today, guys. We're gonna try and keep things rolling here as we get closer to fantasy baseball season here at the Fantasy Baseball MD. So stay, tuned in here with us, and we'll be providing you with some of the best fantasy baseball information in the industry as far as I'm concerned, But guys, until next time, see you.
Peace.